Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's a nice title for you to have. It's good to be on this committee with you. Thanks for convening this hearing. Let's take a look here at something that Facebook, Meta, whatever, something that they've said, Mark Zuckerberg in particular said, or was reported in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured this is Zuckerberg speaking, pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take the content down. Now, the point that I want to get at, and maybe I'll start with you, Ms. Hemingway, because you and your outlet were a target of a lot of this and were censored left, right, center. You personally were censored. Don't you think that Facebook needs to be held accountable for their role in all of this?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America First, the channel where we stand for truth, freedom, and the Constitution. Our mission is to expose corruption and fight for the principles that made this country great. If you're tired of big tech silencing voices like yours and mine, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We need patriots like you to help us grow this community and spread the truth. All right, let's get into it. So there's this fascinating hearing led by Senator Josh Hawley, where he and Molly Hemingway absolutely destroyed big tech for their role in censoring free speech. We're talking about Facebook, Google, and all these Silicon Valley elites who think they can control what we see, what we say, and even what we think. This isn't just a problem. It's a threat to the very foundation of our republic.
I mean, so Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg says, gosh, they were so mean to us, the Biden people, they threatened us, and they did. Biden did. Was that unconstitutional? I think it was. This is why that Supreme Court case that we've been talking about today, the Missouri case, is so significant. But isn't it also true that, as Zuckerberg himself says in the statement, it was their decision, they owned it, and truthfully, Facebook and others have a pattern of censoring long before this, the Hunter Biden laptop story. They gleefully, willfully censored on their own. They have been avid participants in this censorship campaign. Would you agree with that, Ms. Hemingway?
Yes. Mark Zuckerberg, who spent nearly $450 million in the 2020 election to control the outcome there, has recently done a few little things like saying, I was sort of pressured to do this censorship, or, I'll give $1 million to the inauguration committee, as if this in any way makes up for the campaign of censorship that he was engaged in, which was probably valued even more than the money he gave to the election, to censor and silence voices like mine and my publication because we said things on all sorts of topics that were at odds with what he wanted, whether that's the radical trans agenda, how elections should be run, how to respond to the COVID pandemic, all sorts of topics where in a free society you should have free and open debate, and he worked very hard to keep that from happening. So I find these statements kind of interesting, but they nowhere near deal with the agency that he had on this and how much power he has as the head of Facebook.
Yeah, I'm glad you just used the word power because that's a big part of this story, isn't it? Companies like Facebook, Meta have enormous structural power that Mark Zuckerberg has spent, to your point, he has spent billions of dollars amassing. He has worked to destroy competitors who might break that power up, challenge that power in any way. He has used that power to stifle competition. He's used it to stifle views he doesn't like. This is a textbook example of what happens when a monopoly that has a political agenda, in this case, a very hard-edged political agenda for years, when they use that monopoly in order to try to control other competitors and also to try to control the information that flows to the American people. Do I have that right, do you think?
Yes, and the political system itself, which had previously been so supportive of him, and the work that he did to silence, again, not just in the election sphere, but those journalistic voices that were countering his preferred policy objective.
That's just terrific, and you are perfectly placed to talk about that and to bring this to light. I think it's so vital that we don't lose sight of the role that these massive companies, and there's just a few of them. I mean, it's Google, it's Meta, that the control that they have amassed and that they have used to try and dictate, frankly, what Americans can see. And we know in the case of Google, we've had testimony in this committee and subcommittees before, Google has rigged their search results to try and influence independent voters and try to sway elections for years, and not just in this country. They've done it in other countries. They've done it in Australia. These are massive monopoly corporations that have political agendas that have been using their market power to try and influence. Actually, that's not strong enough to try and control outcomes in our political system. That is a problem. And I would just submit, until we deal with their power, this problem is going to persist. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Chairman, thank you for having this great hearing.
Thank you, and that will conclude the hearing. I want to thank the witnesses for being here. Thanks for your testimony.
Now, in this hearing, they focused on Facebook, Meta, and its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg. If you thought Zuckerberg was just some tech nerd who accidentally got too much power, think again. This man is actively working to silence conservatives, manipulate elections, and push a radical left-wing agenda. And frankly, it's sickening. Let's talk about the first big bombshell from this hearing. Senator Hawley exposed how the Biden administration pressured Facebook to censor COVID-19 content. According to Mark Zuckerberg himself, Biden officials were on them for months, demanding they take down posts, even posts that were jokes, humor, or opinions. Now Zuckerberg claims, it was ultimately our decision. Yeah, right. Here's the thing. Even if Biden's people were pushing Facebook, Facebook still chose to comply. They weren't forced into it. They've been doing this kind of censorship for years, long before COVID. Molly Hemingway hit the nail on the head when she pointed out how they censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. Remember that? Facebook and Twitter both buried that story to protect Joe Biden right before the 2020 election. It was straight-up election interference, folks. No other way to describe it. And let's not pretend Zuckerberg is some neutral party here. Molly Hemingway brought up a great point about how Zuckerberg spent $450 million during the 2020 election to help with election infrastructure. What does that even mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means he funneled money into places where it would benefit Democrats. That's not philanthropy. That's influence buying. And now he's acting like throwing a few bucks at Biden's inauguration committee makes it all okay? Please. Zuckerberg has been actively working to silence conservative voices. Molly Hemingway mentioned her own experience where her publication, and even she personally, was censored for daring to question the radical trans agenda, election integrity, and COVID policies. These aren't fringe topics, folks. These are things we should be debating in a free society. But Zuckerberg and his big tech buddies don't want debate. They want control. Now, here's where it gets even worse. Senator Hawley pointed out how these companies, Facebook, Google, and the rest, are massive monopolies. They've crushed their competition to consolidate power, and now they're using that power to push their political agendas. This isn't capitalism, folks. This is cronyism. It's corruption. It's everything the Founding Fathers warned us about when they talk about unchecked power. Think about it. Google rigs its search results to sway elections. That's not a conspiracy theory. Hawley brought up testimony in this hearing where experts explained how Google manipulates search results to influence voters. And they're not just doing it here in America. They've done it in other countries too. Australia is one example. These big tech companies are global monopolies, and they're using their power to control information and ultimately control us. Here's the bottom line, patriots. This isn't just about Facebook or Google or even censorship. This is about the future of free speech in America. If we don't stand up now, we're going to lose our ability to speak out, to question authority, and to share the truth. Josh Hawley said something really important during this hearing. Until we deal with the power these companies have, this problem will continue. He's absolutely right. Big tech isn't just a business problem, it's a political problem. These companies are behaving like the Ministry of Truth from 1984. They're deciding what's acceptable for you to say, and if you step out of line, you're silenced. This isn't how America is supposed to work. In a free society, we don't ban ideas we disagree with. We debate them. We challenge them. And if the left can't handle that, too bad. That's what free speech is all about. It's time to break up these monopolies, hold them accountable, and take back control of the information we see and share. So what can you do? Well, first, spread the word. Share this video with your friends, your family, anyone who needs to know the truth about big tech censorship. Second, let your representatives know you demand action. Call them, email them, tweet at them, whatever it takes. We need laws that protect free speech and break up these monopolies before it's too late. And finally, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to America First, and join this movement. Together, we can fight back against big tech and their left-wing cronies. Thank you for watching, and as always, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.